Okay, welcome back. So I know in the last video I said that we would take care of the objects next, but actually we're going to take a slight detour. We're going to get as many of our resources done as we can. We're going to get some sounds loaded that we're going to use later. We're going to get some backgrounds as well. And that way when we get to our objects and we start doing the programming, those resources are already set up. So I'm going to go to the resources menu and I'm going to select create sound. And of course, I'm going to have a naming convention of SND underscore, and I'm going to call this, I'll say bump. Basically what this is when my character bumps into a wall in the maze, I want it to make a sound. And here's the browsing icon, so I can browse out to my folder and find the appropriate sound. And then I'm going to say OK. And I'm going to add another sound. Let's see, create sound, SND underscore. I'm going to call this next room. And basically when the maze runner gets to the end of that first level of the maze, it's going to go through to the next level, and I'm going to have a sound that shows that, or so you can hear that happen. And it should be something like, trying to find the one I had designated earlier. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and grab the jet flyby, just because that's a quick, easy one. And I'm going to say OK. And that's going to be all I'm adding for the sounds. This is a basic, very simple maze game. I don't want a lot of fancy stuff in here. It's just a basic first game. All right, so for backgrounds, I'm going to go to Resources, and I'm going to create background. And I'm actually going to call this BG for background underscore, and I'm going to call this level 1. And I'm going to load the background. And let's see. Have some backgrounds here. You can do, if you click here, instead of having it by details, make sure it's on like medium or even large icons so that you can get a preview of what the background is. I'm just going to pick, say, that one. And I'm not going to remove the background because some of that color is important to that. I'll say that one. Okay, so that's my background, and I'm going to click OK, and now I'm ready to actually program the object. So I'm going to click on Resource, Create Object, and I'm going to call this OBJ underscore runner. Now you'll notice that I have 4 runner sprites here, but I only have 1 runner object here. Okay, and the reason that is I only need one. Think about yourself, right? There's only one you, but there might be multiple pictures or sprites of you floating around somewhere, right? So this is the same thing. There's only one maze runner. However, there are multiple sprites associated with that runner. So we don't want to have more than one maze runner object. Okay, I'm going to click that, and I'm going to say OK. And I'm going to add... I'm going to go backwards a little bit, but I'll show you why I'm going to do that. I'm going to click Resources, Create Object, and I'm going to do this one as the wall, OBJ underscore wall, and I'm going to attach this sprite to it. You may or may not always have a sprite attached to an object, but for our first basic game, we're going to have this. And I'm going to click Solid, and then I'm going to say OK. And I'm also going to add another resource, Create Object. Let's see, we'll call this OBJ underscore gold wall. And of course, given that name, I'm going to go ahead and attach the sprite gold wall to it, make it solid, and then I'm going to say OK. Now let's say I did this and I'm like, oh, you know what? I forgot to add a function to this object runner, which I did. So I'm going to double click on it, and that's how I get back into the properties of this. Okay. So in a maze game, I'm going to use my arrow keys to move my maze runner around. But the first event I'm thinking about is if I were to add, if I were to try to move forward and there was a wall in the way, what should happen? well, it shouldn't be able to move through it, right? So I'm going to click Add Event, and I'm going to go to a collision event, and I'm going to select Wall. So I'm saying when the object maze runner, right, the runner, bumps into the wall, what happens? Well, he stops moving. You'll notice here are the action tabs. There's Move, Main 1, Main 2, Control, Score. There's some extra and some drawing functions, but the ones we really want to be concerned with, our main ones are going to be Move. I believe Main 1 and 2 are the ones we typically work with. So I'm going to click on the Move tab, and I'm going to click on this one. You can tell what it is. When you hover the mouse over something, you get a pop-up. This is Move Fixed, so I'm going to grab this and drop it in the center, and now it's going to ask you, well, what do you want to happen? And I'm going to say I want this to stop, and I'm going to say OK. Okay, the next event I'm going to add is a key press. I'm going to add event, key press, and what am I saying? When I click on the left arrow key, it's going to move, right? I'm on the Move tab, Move Fixed. It's going to move to the left, and I have to give it a speed, and I'm going to start off with 4. Okay, now I'm going to do this for what happens when I let go of the left arrow key. Key release, left, and it's going to stop moving. The other thing I want to do is, remember when we added these sprites? Well, he starts off in the up position, but once I let go, or once I click on the left arrow, I should say, he should actually face to the left. So I'm also going to add an event here. Actually, I'm going to go into this press left event, and I'm going to say is when I click the left arrow, moves to the left, and what else happens? Well, I'm going to go to the Main 1 tab, and it's Sprite, and it's Change Sprite. And the sprite's going to turn into what? The left runner. Okay. And then when I release, I can either turn it back facing up, or I can just leave it alone. I'm going to leave it alone. All right, so now I'm going to click Add Event, key press, right. What's going to happen? I'm going to click to the Move tab, drag the Move Fixed over here, move to the right, speed 4, click OK, and again, go to my Main 1, change Sprite, and he's going to turn to the right. And I say OK. And then, of course, when I let go of that right arrow key again, key release right, I want him to stop moving. Now I have to do this 2 more times, right? This sequence of events for the up and then the down. So I'm going to add event, key press, up. He's going to move up, set the speed to 4. I'm going to click OK, go to Main 1, change the sprite to up, click OK, and now I add a key release. When I let go of the up key, it should stop moving. I'm going to add another event, add event, key press, down, Move Fixed, that would be down at the speed of 4. I say OK, Main 1 tab, change sprite, and we're going, let's see, direction is down, I say OK. And then I add an event, key release, down, what do I stop doing? I stop moving. Okay. So when I bump into this, I stop. Okay, all my actions are changed here. And I'm going to say one more add event, collision. When I hit the gold wall, I'm going to have it take me to the next room. And I'm going to say OK. Alright, so that's how we added our sounds, our background, and we programmed our objects.